I meditated for a total of like 70 hours. He came in during the session and just like let her know that he was okay, and so she kind of got closure over his death. I'll be honest, I broke the rules, and you can break the rules too, and we were both not allowed to do that. But I'm so grateful that I brought it. She pretty much said that if she knew that, she never would have came. As it reminds me of the time that I went to a tantric course and I didn't know that what I was going to be doing was learning like penis and vagina massages, kind of cultish as it goes along. So she called my friend and said, "You need to take her to the hospital. She's hearing voices. She's crazy." So it's so funny now that I think about it, because the girl that I met the first time I ever went, she was hearing voices. This is my testimonial about the silent meditation retreat called Vipassana. First, I went to the 10-day silent meditation retreat, and there are so many rules. There is no talking, obviously, that's why it's silent. And there's no looking each other in the eyes. Although I think I missed that rule and didn't know that until my next time when I return again. And there is like scheduled times for eating. It's a vegetarian meal plan. There's cheese though, I believe. And you have scheduled times for showering, so you put your name on a list. Like, I will shower this time every day, and you also put your name on a list for like, I will clean the bathrooms this day. So that's how everything gets done, because there'll be like, let's say 40 women sharing the duties of cleaning the bathrooms. And also the sex are separated, so males on one side, females on the other side. The only time you see each other is when you're in the great hall or the meditation hall. So there are scheduled times that you go and meditate in the meditation hall. And then at some point they will excuse you and say like, you can leave now if you'd like, or you can stay and meditate in the hall, or you can go to your room and meditate there. To be honest, I slept a lot more than maybe I would have if I did it again. So they'd be like, you can go to your room and meditate, and I would sleep sometimes. Not all the time, but just like sometimes. And I think in total I calculated that over the 10 days, I meditated for a total of like 70 hours or something like that. But I think if you're maxed out and you meditate as much as possible, you could meditate for a total of like 10 hours a day. So like 100 hours. It might be 100 hours or 110 hours. There's no working out. There's no reading. There's no writing. You are allowed to go outside. There's like a lot of time to go outside on your break and lunch. The food's really good. I'll be honest, I broke the rules. And you can break the rules too. And I know of other people who break the rules. I mean, you're the one who's going there. You're an adult. You're bringing yourself there. And you're the one who's paying for it. It is free. But at the end, you choose to donate what you feel comfortable donating. So whether that be $20 or $2,000, it's up to you to donate what you feel at the end, and that's how they keep the place running. That and the fact that everyone who works there is a volunteer. And I did go back and volunteer in the kitchen after my first 10-day silent meditation retreat. So I remember my first retreat at the Vipassana, there was this girl, and she ended up being my roommate. And I said to her, like, when we were kind of getting them, we were all getting together and we could still talk, and we were going to get a summary of what was going to be to come in the rules. Before all that happened, I just said to her, like, are you ready for like being silent for 10 days? Like, that's going to be crazy. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you can't talk for 10 days. She's like, what? She had no clue. She pretty much said that if she knew that, she never would have came. But I guess it was meant to be, that she came otherwise. It reminds me of the time that I went to a tantric course and I didn't know that what I was going to be doing was learning like penis and vagina massages. Anyways, that's another video I have posted somewhere there for tantric and tantra healing. So she ended up being my roommate. We were sharing this room. And this is a little bit different for every center. For where we were sharing a room, but we had like a small divider between us. But like, it was like one of those folding dividers, the ones that you fold out, so you could see the other person if you like looked, through the right crack on the other side. or if you're just like laying in the right position, that's where your eyes were, was right where you could see your roommate. So I could see her often. And both of us, because she didn't actually know the rules, I guess she just didn't read anything, didn't fill herself in. So she brought a book. I know I saw her writing in a book, and I brought a book as well, and I was writing a book, and we were both not allowed to do that. But I'm so grateful that I brought it. They do not like search your belongings or anything like that. It's more so just like a moral code that you would just give them your cell phone and give them your belongings that you want them to keep safe for you before you go into like the lockdown kind of thing. Yeah, so I was writing like crazy. I think I wrote like 70 pages worth or something like that of like all this information and things that were going through my head, the thoughts I was having, the brilliant ideas I felt I was having, etc., or the epiphanies I was having. I went to the center because I was having some issues with nightmares, and I was trying to figure out if it could help with it. So it was funny that I went there to try to heal my nightmares. But one of the nights near the very beginning, all of a sudden I wake up to my roommate like calling my name, like Destiny, like Destiny. And I'm like, what? Like it's pitch black. Like what's going on? And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Why? And she's like, you were like screaming in your sleep or something. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, what was I saying? She's like, you were saying something like, why is this so difficult? She's like, you were screaming it so loud that I thought it was coming on the intercom over top. We had there was an intercom system in our room. They never used it, but it used to be, I think, an old folks home or something like that. So yeah, she was like, I thought it was like coming on the intercom. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, and then I kind of gave her a summary, even though we weren't supposed to talk, just so she understood. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I'm here because I'm trying to figure out my like nightmare issue, and it's crazy because I'm not usually one to talk in my sleep that much. So for me to be screaming, it's weird. But I apologize, and like that was that. So went back to sleep, and then again later on, I think it was either the same night I did the same thing, screaming in my sleep something. So of course that's kind of scary for her. And then we started chatting a little bit, and I was like, I'm sorry. She's like, are you okay? Like, I'm like, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm totally okay. Like, I have no idea about this whole screaming thing. I know what's going on. And then she told me kind of why she was there. I think said she was hearing thoughts or something in her head or something, which is funny, actually. I remember that I had seen her just looking out this window, and when I looked at her, I just thought, like, mental institute. And I think she was, like, trying to avoid that route because, like, it was kind of freaking her out, like, obviously that she's hearing these voices, and, like, that's kind of where people go, where she was scared of going. I picked up on this, like, weird energy about, like, her being in a mental institution, and it was just a thought I had in my head. And I thought maybe just like this place has mental institution vibes or something like that. But I'm not sure like how she felt afterwards, like long-term wise. But it didn't help my dreams. It didn't heal my dreams. Nothing happened with my dreams. In fact, how I healed my nightmares, because I had nightmare disorder. Every single night I had nightmares. Literally every night. Like maybe if I was lucky, like one night a month I wouldn't have a nightmare. I had that since I was a child. I ended up finding out from a friend that I met actually at my tantra massage course. He instructed me on how to heal it because he had seen somewhere else how to heal it. And then I was able to heal it like a year later or something like that when I met him. So I remember them being really obsessed, like really focused on Buddha. So their beliefs stem from Buddhism. So at nighttime, they teach through this recording, this video. So this guy who created the Vipassana centers, he taught this course and videotaped it, and now that tape is running all over the world in all Vipassana centers, and he continues to kind of teach it through that tape. So at the end of the night, for your last like lesson, you get information from him through the video. It's about an hour long, so it's like the same everywhere you go around the world. Every day you would see the same video at the same time, etc., which I thought was actually a pretty cool idea. And, he'd mentioned that Buddha did this thing where he sat by a tree for, I think, days, if I'm correct. And he just said, I'm not leaving this tree until I reach enlightenment, until I get answers, etc. And that's how he like became Buddha. It was that he sat by a tree and didn't leave there and like reached enlightenment. And then he started teaching what he learned and what he accessed after he sat under this tree for so long. I don't know, like if he ate or drank water. They didn't really tell us that information, or if he went to the bathroom. But supposedly he just never left this tree. And then we kind of follow the teachings. Like they teach like a lot of great things. Honestly, the teachings are really great. They are a way to just be more accepting of your experience and your interactions. They teach you how to be more peaceful, and they teach you how to be less aggravated. And I remember at the end of the class that some of the girls said that like I learned more in these 10 days than I have in all of my college years. They're really focused on Buddha and his teachings and enlightenment. And they pretty much made it out to be like it's impossible to reach enlightenment. Very few people have ever done it. Kind of good luck trying, but we're trying. And I kept getting this message, kind of intuition about the fact that Buddha's enlightenment partly had to do with the fact that he sat by a tree, almost like he accessed knowledge from the tree. And a tree especially like can be very old and it has a conscience. So they told us not to meditate outside when we had outside time. I'm not sure why they were refraining us from doing this. And then they kind of gave an excuse like there's too many distractions outside, the birds and the wind and like, well, whatever. Like, I don't think that they're any worse off than people farting in the class or moving or breathing heavy or coughing. Oh my goodness, coughing is so disruptive. And leaving the room, etc. I kind of got the message that for us, that our experience would be better. We would have more enlightening information if we were to do it outside. So I broke the rules and I went outside and I meditated by a tree. And I actually heard messages like, I wrote them down. Something along the lines of like nature is healing and nature has wisdom. And it's easier to access this stuff if you're like one with it, if you're spending time with it, if you're out in the nature. The story goes that Buddha sat by a tree, like, and it's like they just don't realize that that was like a crucial aspect to his experience and that it can be quite beneficial to ours. So me and my roommate were talking. We talked for sure. We talked a little bit. I would say maybe like a total of 10 minutes a day or something like that. And so I broke a lot of rules. I went and meditated by the tree. I wrote in my book and I talked to my roommate. Only because of the screaming. Once we started talking because of my screaming and we started talking in the night, we just like, and she wasn't prepared for not talking anyway. I don't even think it was good for her not to talk at all, especially since she was hearing voices in her head and now she was just hanging out with these voices in her head. Afterwards, I did come back and volunteer. I did a 6-day volunteer in the kitchen, and that was really eye-opening to see the hard work that goes into feeding people. I don't think kitchen staff, employees get enough recognition. Like, we come and sit down and eat our meals, and we're like, yum yum, and then leave. And like a restaurant, it's running, feeding, and it's like you got to be moving constantly. And we were on a schedule, so we were actually only feeding a group of 40 females at certain times, and it was still crazy hard. Like, we were in the kitchen so much for that, just prepping for it and preparing for it. So I definitely found more respect for kitchen staff, like props to them. And when I applied for my 6-day volunteer, they ask you whatever your job is. And I said photographer, but I also do energy healing for work, like Reiki and pranic healing and archangel healing, etc., that kind of stuff. I didn't write that down. I think they even asked you, like, do you have another practice that you have? And I was like, well, I don't have another practice, but like, I didn't inform them that I do this energy work. And funny enough, in the kitchen, we were talking about energy work and like Reiki and all these kind of things. And they pulled me aside and said, hey, like, we don't allow people to work in the kitchen if they do any type of like spiritual energy work. We only allow people who just practice Vipassana or don't practice anything at all, because they don't want people to be distracted by other means, other types of practices while they're there. They want them to focus only on that. But it was meant to be, I believe, that I was talking about this, because in the end, what ended up happening was I ended up doing it to my roommates. So when you're volunteering in the kitchen, you can talk. You can talk in the kitchen, you can talk in your room. It's not a silent retreat for you. You have the meditation schedule that you fit in around the kitchen time. So you can get in like a total of maybe like, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 hours of meditating a day. I don't know, I just felt called to help these people, and I did an energy healing for these 2 girls. And I remember that the one girl was having issues with her friend dying, and he came in during the session and just like let her know that he was okay. And so she kind of got closure over his death. And then actually later down the road, that same girl would be friends on Facebook, and she would reach out to me for, she was like kind of feeling like maybe depressed or something. She just wasn't feeling herself, and her friends and family were noticing. And so she reached out to me and said like, hey, can you help me maybe over the phone? I saw you do long distance healing. So I did, and she finally felt like herself again after that session. So all meant to be. Like, I think there is a number of ways for healing that Vipassana doesn't teach, so it's kind of incomplete if you ask me. It's a great way to ground yourself and to release negative energy from yourself and your aura, for sure. So there's so many great things, but I just don't think it's complete. And I don't think that it's right for them to tell people that to continue to practice this after you attend it, I believe. I think it's after you attend the 3 times. On the 4th time when you come, you have to have committed to only ever practicing Vipassana, and you can't practice anything else. No other type of meditation or energy healing, any type of spiritual. So that's kind of weird. I don't understand that. In a sense, it becomes kind of cultish as it goes along, because those people who go like literally hundreds and thousands of times again and again, they're like, this is the only way. I'm like, okay, buddy. It, to me, reminds me of like saying, this is the only type of spaghetti that I will eat, or this is the only restaurant that I will go to. I think there's just so much you can miss out by not experiencing other people's gifts or talents or blessings, whatever it is. And but I mean, each to their own. Again, each to their own. I don't really care, but for me, it's not right. No, it gets super hella boring. Well, that was my kitchen. Then I went and did one last time at Vipassana. I did a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And I loved the fact that I got to like lock myself away, no phone, no distractions, no one talking to me, no work, and awesome, yummy food, healthy food. I love that. And I wanted to use it to do something else. So what I did was I used that time to read the Quran. So I brought the Quran with me, a little like compact English version, and I read, I would say about 70% of the Quran in 4 days. And then I just got the message that like I didn't need this anymore. Like, this was enough. I don't need to be here. I don't need to do this anymore, that my practice is beyond this and my calling is elsewhere. And at this point, I already had my ability to scan. So I call it scanning, but it was a gift that I was given by a spirit guide, angel helper, whatever you want to call it. But it was a spiritual gift I got that I was able to see the truth about things. So I could like look at someone and see like how honest they were, or how positive their beliefs were, or how kind their heart was. It really seemed to be like anything that was a fact I could figure out. Like if I looked at someone and said like, do they have something that they can teach me? And I could get the answer like yes or no. So I told them, hey, I'm getting the message that I don't need to be here anymore. And they actually end up calling my emergency contact, and that was my best guy friend, and said, hey, which is funny actually, because remember the one time, now that I think about it, the first time I went, the girl said she was hearing voices. Now I don't hear voices. I have to focus. It's like get into this meditative state, and then I ask to speak to God, and then God connects me with whomever God wants to connect me with, and I get like a shock system. So it's like if I ask a question, if the answer is yes, it feels like something is like squeezing my insides and like shooting a shock throughout my whole body. And if the answer is no, I feel nothing. It's a yes or no method that I get. And then for percentage wise, like I said, if I can see like how kind is the heart, I will ask how kind is this person's heart. It's on a scale of 0 to 100. So is it over 50%? And so if I get a yes, then I'll go like, is it over 60%? And I'll go from there to get a number on like gauging like how honest or kind or positive or respectful a person is, etc. So she called my friend and said, you need to take her to the hospital. She's hearing voices. She's crazy. So it's so funny now that I think about it, because the girl that I met the first time I ever went, she was hearing voices and was feeling a little crazy. And then I was getting painted with the same brush, but was not hearing voices. I mean, in a sense, I guess you could say I'm like communicating with the spiritual realm, but like, I mean, that was my experience for that one. I'm just glad that I went, because honestly, I just crushed the Quran. Like, I think I finished the Quran. I read the Quran in like 2 weeks. When you have life distracting you, you would take forever to read something that's like 500 pages long and isn't like super interesting. I don't mean that like to like downplay how great the Quran is. I just mean like it's like reading a textbook. There's so much information. Yeah, you learn a lot, but it's like it's not the same as reading like a book that's written for like the pleasure of like enjoying to read that book. It has a lot of repetitive stories, and I think it's so that you will remember what it's saying. So it'll say like the same thing and then add on another paragraph, and then it'll repeat the same thing, and then it'll add on another paragraph, and you just, oh my goodness, like that. So I am about to go into a 10-day self-isolation again, where I will be by myself, be disconnected from people, have no technology. I will be in a house, in a room, but in the room I won't use the lights, I won't turn on the light, and I'm going to be following Ramadan. I don't get to eat till like 9:30. As the time progresses, not until like 10 p.m. The sunset is so late here. I am going to just be reading the Bible. So I'm approximately halfway done the Bible, a little over halfway done the Bible. So in the 10 days, my intention is to finish the Bible and to pray extensively and hopefully just gain some sort of spiritual insight or wisdom that I don't have currently. I'm just thinking right now, honestly, how hungry I am. I'm like, oh my goodness, like what time is it? So I still have 5 more hours until I can eat. But for some reason, I am hungry right now. And so my energy feels like a little bit low. Anyways, that's about it. That was my experience in Vipassana. I think that everyone should experience it and try it at least once. I don't think that everyone needs to do it continuously for the rest of their life and commit only and solely to that practice. There's just so much that I've learned in so many other ways that make my healing abilities and my relationships better with people. Like, there's just so many things in my life that I'm so grateful and so blessed to have experienced it that were outside of that practice. So there's just absolutely no way I would ever commit to Vipassana for the rest of my life. Anyways, I hope you liked my review and testimonial of Vipassana, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye.